looking to develop their own CBD product in this room? How many people have already developed the product? And of those people who have developed the product, how many had a lot of challenges or new discoveries in the process that they weren't expecting? A lot. Okay, good. That's why we're here. So we put together this presentation. Really, it's to take out a lot of the mystery of the process of getting your product, from concept in your mind to onto a store shelf. And we have a lot of experience that we'll kind of touch on, but through what we do, demystifying that process so that you can understand what it's really like step by step and how long it takes and what the processes are. So that's what this presentation is going to be all about today.
All right, moving forward. So a bit about us. Just take it off and throw it on the floor. Thank you. I'll go accordingly with my voice. So my name is Dr. Jenelle Kim. A little bit about who I am and why we started JBK Wellness Labs and how we got into the contract manufacturing space. So I'm a doctor of traditional Oriental medicine. I come from a long lineage of herbal doctors and practitioners that go back for thousands of years in East Asia, particularly in Korea. So while I studied Chinese medicine and received my doctorate in Chinese medicine, herbal medicine, my lineage comes from Korea. And that's very well known in East Asia, as Korea is known to have advanced herbal medicine. Now, I say all of this, and I think it's important, particularly in the fact that we're at the CBD Expo, because one of the things I'll often speak on, not so much today, but why we got into this industry, is because cannabis, hemp, the effects go back thousands of years, okay? And so how we got into this space in about 2012, which is about light years away, as you'll often hear, is because some of the pioneers in the industry, as you know them today, ultimately came to us because of our knowledge of herbal medicine and formulation. Prior to, I'm going to jump forward just for a second, and then Craig can. Prior to this, we were in the spa industry, your natural marketplaces, Whole Foods, Sprouts, your retail stores, Neiman Marcus, Nordstrom, so on and so forth. So we have a very long history thus far even in understanding the natural product marketplace. Really, we are very grateful to have had the opportunity to have seen these industries grow. So we got started when natural products were just beginning. Can you even imagine? Can you imagine that there was a time not long ago that natural products was not even really a thing that everyone talked about, right? Or herbal medicine. When we first began, everyone said, don't even waste your time. What an interesting thing, right? So we were able to see a lot of industries grow. But certainly, I think I can say with much confidence, I don't think we're ever going to see in our lifetime, and maybe many more, an industry grow as quickly as it is. So that's basically what our background is. We were involved in creating beautiful natural formulations for your highest end luxury type of markets at a time where that didn't really exist. Herbal medicine, same, and now here in the CBD industry. So that's what we have to share with you all. Okay? I'll go backwards here for a second.
And I'm Craig Nandoo. I'm the president of JBK Wellness Labs. We started, as Jenelle mentioned, in the natural products industry. We took brands of our own to market. This is in the early 2000s, Whole Foods, the natural spas. And so we have that experience. We sold off those brands around 2010 or so, and we started really getting into contract marketing, contract manufacturing space 2012. From there, we've developed helped other brands develop other companies develop their brands. So we've helped them take their concepts to market. And it's been an exciting time, especially in the CBD space, just to see where it's come from 2012, where if you said CBD, people were it was synonymous with pot, with THC, and now people are becoming very educated, and there's a huge opportunity as now people were at one point repelled, and now are really becoming very attracted to CBD. And so that's a little bit about our history. Okay, great. So we talked about that.
Okay, I clearly will be the clicker holder. We've been in this industry for a long time. That's the main point. This is supposed to ease your mind. Oftentimes we'll have people come to us to say, this is so overwhelming, where do we begin? So that's what we thought. Let's make it into a presentation. Okay.
So there's three fundamental questions, I think, when you're going to make your product that everybody should be asking. And they're very simple questions, and they seem, almost they should be apparent right away. But they help to guide the process as you start to develop your product. Those questions are, first of all, why do I want to create this product? Who am I creating this product for? Where are they located? What things matter to them? Is it going to be organic ingredients? Is it going to be, is that not that important? So there's all these different things that you have to think about, because as you go to develop your product, you want to be able to talk with the people who are collaborating with you, so that story starts from ground zero. Who do I want to sell it to? Are you selling to CVS and Kroger and mass market? Are you selling to Mastige, that's like Sephora? Are you selling to salons and spas? All of these things have different avenues of or different ways that you want to navigate those markets. And so if you're selling to CVS, for example, you might want a lower price point. If you're selling to Mastige, you have a little bit more room to fill in with other actives as well. And again, that comes back to where do I want to sell it, and the price point is going to matter, and some of the ingredients as well.
Throughout this, we might talk about this a bit more, but I definitely want to share, because I'm kind of more of Craig kind of handles the business and the numbers, and I'm more of the visionary and the formulator, right? And so my take on this part of our introduction, this is the most important part, right? We're going to go into this a little bit. Certainly there's people out there who want to just make a lot of money very quickly, and that's perfectly fine, right? Now, everything that we have done, that I have done, comes with a lot of purpose and meaning, and so that's kind of where I have found how we even built JBK, okay? And so I really want to stay here for a second, because when we're really trying to build a brand that means so much to us, or even if you are in that position, which there, like I said, is a very, very great place of opportunity to just build numbers quickly, it's very important, time and time again, no matter what industry we've ever been in, the spa industry, the retail industry, Costco, that people feel connected to your products and understand what it is that you bring, what makes you special. And that's the number one question. All of this, to me, means what makes you special? What is going to make you stand out on a shelf? No matter where you are, that's the utmost importance. One thing I love that I'm seeing throughout the last couple of years is that I see there's so much out there, which can be so overwhelming to people on every level. It's just the world that we live in right now. But what that's done is it has made people pay more attention, become more aware. And so that's why we like to start with this. And so the number one thing you should be doing, no matter what your goal is, when you create a product, when you create a brand, is understanding what is going to make you stand out. So that's my summary of that portion. So then we can break it down, though, into private label and contract manufacturing.
There's also something, I'm not sure, can I be heard? Everybody can? I'm not sure if, if there's anybody in here that's really looking to, build a brand in their home, doing that. I think there's definitely a place for that. What we're talking about now is really taking it to the next level and how you produce your product. So I just want to make sure that we're clear on that too. So there's a couple ways when you're trying to build a brand, and you can private label, right? And private label means that there's a company that has, thousands of a certain type of tincture or a certain type of capsule on the shelf ready to go, and there's no label on it. And you can call them up and say, look, show me what you've got in terms of capsules, and they might send you a list with ingredients, and you say, I like that, I want to take it, and I want to put my label on it and start selling it places. That's one very feasible way to do things. And then the benefits are speed to market, right? You can call up and say, look, I want this product, my label on it. If they have enough in stock and it's on the shelf, then you can have 1,000 pieces ready to go right away. The drawbacks are you're sharing that formula with countless other companies. You don't know how many people have that exact same product that you're taking to market. You don't have your fingerprint really on it. You developed it, you created it, and so it's certainly one way to do it. And some companies start that way, and the other way is going to be contract manufacturing. This is a truly customized product, and so just in full transparency, private label, we might make, let's say, 10,000 pieces, and we send them to a company, and then they in turn sell them as private label to another company.
Or white label is often how you'll
white
hear
label,
that.
exactly.
White label or private label.
Contract manufacturing is when you team up with a manufacturer and you say, look, I want to make a product, I want to have an impact, and these are specific types of things that I'd like to see. And so you can go there with a formula that you've developed and collaborate to get to a great final product. And this, the benefit to that is obviously you have a unique product that's yours. So when you go to market, you're basically saying, look, we developed this, we put our heart and soul into it because we believe this product works, or for whatever reason you're taking it. The drawback is that there's longer lead times, certainly. There's a lot of development that goes into the process. And then generally, you're going to have some larger quantities, MOQs, which is minimum order quantity, to get that product manufactured.
And the beautiful thing is that something, I feel like this question is out there, so hopefully that I'm correct here. But one thing I want to mention is that, say you really do have a story or you feel some kind of connection or there's some purpose that you want to create a certain product for. It doesn't necessarily mean all the time, you should think about it, but it doesn't mean you're necessarily going to come to that manufacturer and say, I have everything that I want to do. You know, I know these ingredients and I want to put them together. That's the manufacturer's job, a good manufacturer and formulator's job, right? And so you may not necessarily be in the private label, but it may be sometimes overwhelming. Okay, I really want to create something special, but where do I even begin? And that's where you start to brainstorm, you start to speak on different formulation aspects. Maybe there's a couple ingredients that mean a lot to you. We see that quite often with some of our clients and people that we work with. They'll come and have a theme of, you know, there's someone that we're speaking of that's more a lot in the tropical. That's like their culture, that means a lot to them. So they'll come and say, Jenelle, you know, Dr. Kim, Craig, and our team, is there a way that we can use these types of ingredients, combine it with CBD? What products should we use this in, this, that in? And then we'll even start to create a whole vision of what products they should even carry. You know, they may come in wanting to have ingestibles, and then before you know it, it changes to topicals first, skincare, right? And so just wanted to mention that. You don't always have to have a complete plan. It's good to have that concept to begin with. But that's something that I notice not everyone always knows moving into this market.
You know, there's another point that just came up that is not particular in the slide, but that's what we're here for, is to kind of catch where things might miss. And it also comes back to who you're selling to. And so let's just take Whole Foods, for example, right? And so if you come to us and say, look, we want to make a tincture, and we want to make 3 body care products, and we want to sell them to Whole Foods. So some of the things that you want to be aware of is, how does Whole Foods actually buy? And where do they stock their products? And so, you know, the supplement buyer is going to be different from your body care buyer. And so you're technically having 2 different types of products in 2 different areas that, you know, it's something that you want to be aware of. Okay, well, if I take both of these, I can't just go to Whole Foods and say, hey, I've got these products, do you want to buy them? Because you're going to be talking to 2 separate people. And there's certain times of the year they've got a calendar when they review certain types of products. And so it's just something to be aware of as you go through that process.
In the retail department too, and even in the mass, like Sephora's and whatnot, there's often a calendar. And so sometimes when we go into creating these products, that will help to give us somewhat of a timeline too, which we will certainly speak on. You know, we'll know together, okay, at this point, this is when Sephora is going to look next. We have this many weeks to be able to get a sample in their hands to be able to present it to them, right? And so that's a very good point. So all these things that you wouldn't necessarily think of, that helps you start to plan what your first step even is.
And then, so when we talk about who you want to work with and you're making that determination, there's a few things that you should take into consideration, which is history. You know, how long has this company been around? Are they reputable? Right now, as we see in the CBD space, there's a lot of companies that are sprouting up really just because, like, if you look at the projections, this is estimated to be a $22 billion industry by the year 2022 or whatever the statistic is. And so you get companies that are saying, okay, well, we'll grow the stuff, we'll process it, we'll manufacture the finished products, and all the way through. And I think there's a process to that because every one of those components has different regulations put on it, different quality management systems that need to be in place. And so that's when we talk about CGMP specifically. And this is, when we talk about CGMP, it's not only CBD or hemp specific. So there's a lot of discussion about the regulations in the hemp industry and the FDA. And so it doesn't matter whether it's CBD or it's not, or it's vitamin C, for example. If you're producing dietary supplements, you're required to be registered with the FDA. It's not an optional thing, and so you have to have that in place. In California, and every state has its own health department and different regulations. But in California, you have to be registered with the state of California, which subjects you to surprise inspections. And so you want to be, as you're talking to manufacturers, find this stuff out. Okay, what kind of quality management do they have in place? Are they FDA registered? Because the last thing that you want is to start working with a manufacturer, have a great formulation that you love, and you take it to market to find out that it wasn't manufactured in a registered facility, and then you've got to untangle that web.
And for those of us in this room who may not know what CGMP, maybe we all do, but it's current good manufacturing practices, and it's like a thick manual of things, everything from the second an ingredient comes in to the second it leaves the facility. So
yeah,
that
and
is
there's
what we're talking.
just if you're interested, at I think 1:30 today, I'm on a panel with another group, and it's specifically regarding CGMP, and so there's more detail that'll be available there.
And if I may say, why is that so important? Not just to that brand, as a practitioner, as a doctor. One of the most important things, of course, I care about the people, no matter what, who come to us who want to create that brand. But at the end of the day, why are these things so important? Because at the end of the day, they go to people. They go to the consumers. And it's one thing, of course, so vitally important to follow certain guidelines when it comes to skincare. Absolutely. But it even gets a step deeper when you're starting to make dietary supplements and nutritional products that now people are ingesting. We have to take that incredibly seriously, and I know that we all do. But there are some people out there that just want to move real fast to get involved in this business, and they cut those corners, and at the end, that's what, you can end up causing a little bit more harm in that way, which is why it's so very important.
Yep. And then obviously capabilities. You want to make sure the manufacturer can produce the types of products that you want. They may say, okay, yeah, we can get some things to put that in place, and that may be the case. But you just want to make sure you're not wasting time in the process. So sometimes if they have that capability and they're ready to go and they can show you that they have that capability, it's something to, it's a good sign. Reciprocal relationship, right? You want somebody that's going to collaborate with you, not just say, okay, give me some money, we'll make a product, and it's out the door. You generally want to have a close enough relationship with your manufacturer that you can call them. They'll give you information back and forth that you might need, and if things are starting to grow quickly for you, to work together to manage your inventory so that you have that understanding of what the lead time will be the next time an order comes in, so that you're prepared and you're not, oh, we're out of product and you think you can get it tomorrow, for example. And then the last thing was just be wary of too good to be true promises. There's a lot of that, I think, that exists in the industry, and so if somebody tells you, okay, yeah, we can have a custom product made for you, next week or 2 weeks from now, you might
telling you a story.
You might want to, yeah.
I'll just get right to the point. You cannot create a custom formulation and have it just given to you and create it in 2 weeks. It doesn't work that way. That's private label. Formulation and prototypes. So now we get to the interesting part of samples. Go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, so again, it's back to these three questions, the fundamental questions that we had. These are things, as you go into the sample process, you want to know, because...
All right, everybody, thank you very much.
Well, we got somebody else on there.
All right, now we have to speak over another. This is very...
It goes to the
it's
machine.
like a circus.
But when you go to the process of developing your samples and your formulations, you want to make sure that you're going into it with these things in mind. And so sometimes you might say, okay, I want this great product, but sometimes it's easier to know, okay, this is the price point I need it at for my market, and then you can develop a product within that parameter, because the last thing you want to do is develop a great product that you love that's going to cost $12 a unit when it's not going to work for you in the market, right? And so if you know, okay, we need to be at $5, let's get together and work to make a great product that's going to be $5. So you want to focus on that, who you're going to sell it to, again. And it's crucial because this process takes time. And so if you think that, okay, maybe it takes 3 weeks to make a sample, if you don't get it right, it's going to take another 3 weeks to make another sample, another 3 weeks from there. And so the closer you can get, the more direct specifics you can talk to your manufacturer about. Look, if it's a skincare product, let's talk about that. Okay, I like citrus scent. So that your manufacturer is not saying, okay, well, let's make you a floral one. I like this kind of texture, again, price points. And so just be, the more info that you have that's very specific from the get-go is going to help you a lot.
And oftentimes that can mean really getting to like the nuts and bolts of it, that you literally go out and find a couple of products that you love, and you bring them, and you show them, this is what I like. And so at least you know you're starting at on the same page, right? Packaging is a huge part of this process, as we'll see in some of this timeline.
Yeah, packaging is huge. So you can get domestic packaging that's available off the shelf in the United States. The more customized that you want to get with your packaging, you're more than likely going to have to source that from overseas. And so in this process, packaging is one of the things that you want to start to look at really as you're developing your thought for your prototype, what your formulation is going to be. You also want to start to focus on packaging because that will take some time. Now, if we're talking about generic, amber glass bottle packaging, it can be one of those things that you can get all the time. But some things that you want to look at are continuous supply, which means if you're getting it from a domestic supplier, knowing that it's always going to be available when you need it, so that it's not discontinued or it's they've got 80,000 of them and they're going to be gone after that. So continuity of brand, you want to know that your packaging is available. Overseas, your quantities are generally going to be higher, right? So you're going to be sourcing 5,000 pieces plus from overseas. You're going to have a lot more customization that's available. And then what you want to make sure you do with overseas, and we've seen this time and again, is companies that say, okay, I'm going to find a manufacturer in China, and this is kind of a joke that we have in our industry, is when you're ready to buy the packaging, everybody speaks English, perfectly. When there's a problem with the packaging, and you go back to that supplier in China,
everyone forgot how to speak English.
Everybody forgot how to speak English. And so it's a big pitfall.
I try this, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's a big pitfall, especially when you have 10,000 pieces that arrive and something is wrong. And so what we would always recommend is that you work with a packaging broker. They exist, and they're US based. And so they're the ones that have relationships with different factories in China, and they've been through the drill, hundreds and thousands of times. And so if something goes wrong, they have that direct relationship, and you can get things corrected. So if you're looking for overseas packaging, find somebody that specializes in that's based in the US, that will work with you.
So we just walked through kind of formulation samples in a nutshell. Now packaging, and then we move on to another very important piece, which is stability testing.
So stability testing means, there's some things that you're looking for, right? Is how does the product look over time? How is the preservation system holding up over time? And then are there any key ingredients that we really want to focus on and see if they're, after 6 months still at the level that you want them to be at? And stability testing isn't necessarily a strict requirement, but it's all about your level of confidence. And so if you're a company like L'Oreal, for example, they might put their product through 150 tests over 3 years before they take it to market. And that's not realistic for most of us, right? I would say just about every one of us in this room, unless we are from L'Oreal. And so it's what gives you the level of confidence to know that what you're putting out there is going to look good, feel good, smell good, but also be safe for the consumer. And so stability testing, generally the way that we would recommend it is you put it in the oven for 3 months at an elevated temperature. It gives you about a year of shelf life. And so if you say, okay, I'm comfortable with that, let's take it to market, let's go. But even if you want to do less than that, that's fine. It's all about your level of confidence and what you want to take to the market.
And this also comes into play with, some of those active ingredients that you may really feel are very special to you. Like we had some people sometimes will come to us and ask us, can we put this in this fruit puree? Like, okay, that sounds really beautiful and amazing, and I'd like to eat it. But if we put it into your product, it'll probably degrade very quickly. And it's really important, especially when you're making natural products. Like I said years ago when we did this, oh my gosh. We had beautiful products, we thought, because that's all we had to work with, right? And so if we see, I get very excited about this, and not everyone has to, but even 15, 17 years ago, we'd make these products for 4 Seasons Ritz-Carlton that were beautiful, so active, and all we had to work with in the natural realm as far as outside of actives, things that make it a lotion, things that make it feel nice, things that make it smell pretty, we barely had anything to work with. But the beautiful thing about right now is that we have so much more to work with, but still not many people have not every single company knows how to work with that. So if that's something really important to you, we have to really think through that natural, beautiful product that you're creating.
This is a timeline, and generally we share this. And so if you want a copy of it, just email info@JBK Wellness Labs and just say, I'd like a copy of the timeline. This is going to be really helpful for you because one of the big things is when we have this concept of this great product that we want to create, it's like, I want it tomorrow because I can get it out and I can sell it. And the reality is we have to, it's nice to be prepared on what the timeline looks like. And so I don't know if we can
unfortunately,
scroll.
I don't want to miss too much because I think of how the projector sits, but the most important piece is missing on the sheet, so it leaves you mystery.
Can we see it?
Mystery. We can for sure. So the total time to market.
So we have a very fast one, which is on the left side. And like if you're really speeding through getting a custom product and getting it to market, and kind of eliminating some of the things that are optional, it's going to take about 17 weeks.
And that's fast. Remember, that's on the fast lane.
That's on the fast side. And then we have the conservative side, which is closer to 34 weeks. And so the more you have some of these things at the forefront of your mind in the beginning, which are packaging, which are, what kind of formulation you like, and those things come together and you're working on them simultaneously, the faster you can get your product to market. But if you're saying, okay, let's get our formula done, and then we'll start talking about packaging, realize that if you're getting custom packaging done in China or Korea or wherever it may be in Europe, you're looking at graphic design time, and I'll just go through this process real quickly. But when you're having a package created, you basically you get with your graphic designer, you send out your artwork to the package company. They send you a prototype. You say, okay, it's great except for this. And every time you do that, you're adding weeks to the process. Then when you finally say, okay, I like it, this is great, we're going to run it, it's going to take them 4 weeks to produce, and then estimate another 4 weeks on a boat coming to the U.S. So that's where some of the timelines come into the process.
So I can't believe how fast all of this goes, but we actually just have a couple of minutes left. We kind of already touched on this. Do you have other further points, Craig? I might open up to the audience and see if anyone has any specific questions that we can help with to scream over the other presentation that's happening.
Real quick, I'll just touch on this.
Yes.
So e-commerce is very straightforward. You build your website and you go and you start selling. Mass retail is a different thing. You've got to look at what that process looks like. And generally, in mass retail, there's brokers that are involved, okay, and a broker basically is somebody that, has worked with different grocery chains or wherever, and they have some connections, and they know when the schedules are happening, when reviews are happening. You're usually going to have a percentage of your price that's dedicated to them, to pay them a commission to go talk to all these places and get your product in there. From there, you've also got distributors that are involved. And so you send, thousands of your products to a distributor warehouse, and they fulfill and make sure that the shelves stay stocked. And so there's different elements that you have to be aware of. In the spa and resort industry, you can go direct sometimes. Maybe there's distributors in there. So just some things to think about as you're developing your product and where you want it to go. There's a lot in there that doesn't necessarily seem apparent in the beginning, but just to be aware of that.
Okay. So I'll leave this in the back in case you're wondering about us, but does anyone have any questions? You're first.
We
always seem so
cannot.
mysterious when we do this. No, we cannot. But I tell you what, pretty much if you look in your Neiman Marcus, your Nordstrom's,
Urban
your Whole
Outfitters.
Foods, Urban Outfitters, you just look around, you'll see some of them.
Yeah, you just have confidentiality agreements in place, and who's got them and who doesn't.
Especially when you see herbs in there. I probably put a stamp on that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Describe every day.
Which one?
There's probably a list. This is why we're starting to do this now. This is how we begin every phone call.
So I think nightmares are avoided by your relationship with your contract manufacturer. And so as long as it's great to move fast. Usually fast is where issues may happen, especially on a brand new product. And when we talk about all this stuff, we're talking about like the first run of a product.
That's important,
Reorders,
but that's the most important.
The next run that you do, you've already got a lot of your kinks worked out. But moving fast sometimes, a nightmare story that we've heard of, and I won't attribute it to us because This hasn't happened with us, but we've had people come to us that had a different manufacturer, and it's a very similar, they've got 5 different products. They all look very similar, but they have different scents in them, but the labels all look similar. And they received product, and they shipped it out to their fulfillment warehouse, only to realize after clients started receiving the product that the label of lavender scent was actually mint. And so you've got 20,000 different products out there that you've got to recall, bring them back, figure out which ones are right, which ones are wrong, and that's a big headache.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
And we certainly did not even break into like the certain certificates of analysis of every ingredient of your finished product. Honestly, we're talking a lot about that on the panels, and as I suspected, this time flew by. But that's another piece of working with a manufacturer that follows all the proper steps. Because first of all, before you, especially when you start working with some of the distributors or the brokers or some of the big box companies out there, you are required to have all of that anyways. And in some sense, sometimes it's like a big, oh, this is such a headache, but the truth is, in the end, it helps you very much, and all of that's kind of set into place. So, yes, I saw it. Yes, in the back.
One point that I typically make is for us to recognize that you never just treat one disease. And as an exemplary scenario of having nationwide, worldwide, whatever, how are those manufacturers distinguished by how another room? Oh, okay, I just thought it was somebody rude like on CNN.
E-commerce. So if I understand the question is e-commerce versus mass retail and regulations regarding the manufacture of them? Yep. Anywhere, yeah. So it doesn't matter whether it's going to e-commerce or mass retail, wherever it is. If you're manufacturing dietary supplements, you have to, at a minimum, be registered with the FDA. And that puts them on notice that they need to come and inspect your facility from time to time. Different states have different regulations. In California, you have to be registered with the California, good morning, California Department of Public Health. And so those are some things to look for. And that's on the dietary supplement side.
Probably e-commerce is probably where you have the most wide range. You could probably have a lot of gray area. Let me put it in a nice way, right? So versus going to like a CVS, which certainly on clients, CVS, Walgreens, so on and so forth. Where you go to those places, sometimes as a consumer, you can rest assured they have to go through a lot of processes to get to that space or in terms of hopefully accepted. E-commerce, of course, you have a little bit more gray area because you just take it and you put it on the website. So maybe that's another way of answering.
And then there's also, I mean, different certifications that you can look for on the cosmetic side and even other sides. ISO certification is something that's very good to have if you're looking to go international, because it's in a lot of your key markets, Europe, Japan, and there's other ones that will say, okay, it's manufactured in an ISO facility. Okay, no worries, we'll just take it into our country. So if you're looking to expand internationally, that's something to look for as well.
Maybe to share that.
Yeah.
Manufacture also in Europe, here in Asia, so certainly Europe is very, very stringent.
Right.
Make it better than that.
Right.
Look at everything here. Yes.
What about the banking industry? Have you had issues with the banks?
So it's an interesting thing. We have some clients, bless you, that have Canna in their name. And they go to the bank and say, look, we'd like the bank here. And they say, well, you know, I don't think we were going to work with you. And so what we've seen is that a company will be called Natural Beauty LLC, and they're doing business as something else, or they've got something like that where they're able to bank, and it doesn't necessarily say. But I think the rules are going to be changing quite soon. I think there's a lot that's been happening in the last couple weeks, which should be anyways. But